back to the show, and it's a real privilege actually. We got Adam Spagnolo on the show. How are you, Adam?
Very well, thank you, Michael.
Now, Adam, I'm excited because it's been a while since you've been back into the political game and onto local council, and you're coming back now. We were having a bit of a chat off air, and Adam said, one of the reasons is a lot of exciting things going on this Osborne Park ward that you're going for. But you said there are some concerns, there's some work to do as well, and I know you don't shy away from that. And you were pointing out to me one of the things, and look, it struck me, I went, of course, and you went, Main Street.
Yes. Well, look, Main Street is one of those old chestnuts, if you like. I was very fortunate to be involved with the original upgrade of Main Street some 17 years ago. And of course, we upgraded Main Street from Cape Street all the way down to El Dorado Street. Situation at the time was not very good, but of course after the upgrade, it became a very modern little area, pedestrian friendly for the time, parking was good, everything worked out well. But of course, 17 years have now lapsed.
It's a long time, isn't it?
It is indeed, and of course, things change. People expect more. I mean, you go to Leederville, you see a beautiful precinct there. You go to Beaufort Street, which, to the credit of the City of Stirling, they've done a great job in Beaufort Street. Similar sort of concept there. And of course, you go to Fitzgerald Street up in North Perth. That is the sort of thing that I'm looking at for Main Street.
Because when you did it last time, I know you were heavily involved in those upgrades 17 years ago. It was the leader then. You actually put it at the forefront. But as you said, over 17 years now, it just seems it's been the forgotten one. And you say, I drove down Beaufort Street just the other day. It's a hive of activity, lovely work they've done there.
Look, I walk around in the electorate and I talk to a lot of people, and the issue that is the common denominator every time is Main Street. People say it's not safe. Yeah. People say aesthetically it doesn't look right. And you've got to agree with them. You can't disagree with them.
Well, I was there the other day. I don't know about you. I couldn't find parking.
Yes. But parking has always been an issue, and probably the biggest issue in terms of the traders there, or the shopkeepers, is there's always been this apprehension, there's always been this contention about the City of Stirling wanting to put in paid parking. You know, there's on the corner of Royal Street, or should I say Hutton Street and Main Street.
Yes.
There's a council car park there. Now, unfortunately, what was happening very early in the piece, and probably to a certain degree at the time, or at this time, is that people are parking their vehicle there, pulling in another vehicle, catching the train and going into the city. I understand the reason why a council would think that, but I'm totally opposed to that. I think if we're going to promote business, if we're going to get people patronising businesses, then what we need to do is make sure that we make it easy for them.
Yeah.
To charge them for parking their vehicle because they're patronising our ratepayers, I think is quite wrong.
Yeah. With when I have a look at Beaufort Street and Leederville is obviously very famous for us here in what they've done. Do you really think that you can turn Main Street into that?
When there's a will, there's a way. And in my view, I think that Main Street has been neglected. There's been talk for the last 2 or 3 years about an upgrade. In fairness, there is a committee which is called the Main Street Co-op Committee. They've been working very, very hard and very diligently with a view to come up with a concept. They do have what they call a mural, basically, if you like, an artist's impression, showing basically what they'd like to see down there. But, we should be advancing from that position. There's a lot of other things that need to happen. There needs to be money on the budget. There needs to be a plan. I mean, you can't build a house without a plan.
No.
Okay?
Yep.
Now, we don't really have a plan. We have an artist's impression, and I think there's a process you have to follow, and I'm not sure that that's occurring at the moment. From my experience when you were in council before, your skill set, because you are a builder, you know building, so you know it from ground up. It is that planning stage. You think that some of those critical key skill sets are perhaps just not there at the moment. A lot of enthusiasm, but as you said, it won't get your house built. No. Look, I'm very fortunate because I actually have the best of both worlds. I am a professional local government building inspector, and I'm also, if you like, or have been, an elected member. So I do have the best of both worlds in terms of that experience.
So great understanding.
Indeed,
and
yes.
Overall. But not just understanding, what I like about it is you've got the skill sets, but you've applied it in the past. As I said, Main Street 17 years ago, it was cutting edge.
Yes.
That was it.
Yes.
And now you're going, hold on, we can do it again.
We can do it better.
Yeah.
And we will do it better with the support of the community. Absolutely.
And I think you're right. I think this community they want that, don't they? I mean, I know I've gone out and about. I mean, we're in business and radio and television, and people go, "Hey, this is exciting. We can have a vibrant community," and it does add to community, doesn't it? Once
Absolutely,
you build those
yes.
things.
No, it does, and I think that people look around. They go to other local authorities and they say, "How come they're not doing this in our council?" I remember years ago on the recycling and on the rubbish collection, people would look at municipalities like Bayswater, for instance, and they'd see that people had a bin there, one of those skip bins.
Yes.
They would see that they had 3 bins there, and they'd say, "Why isn't the City of Stirling doing that?" Now, the advice at the time was that it was all better and more cost effective for us to have 1 bin and just throw everything in there.
Yeah.
But of course, it's now been found by the City of Stirling that that's not the case.
Yeah.
So yes, it's just about improvement and doing better and being up with the vogue.
What I like about the things you bring to the table, Adam, and I'm conscious of your time, is that by doing things like Main Street, you improve property values in there for just everyday ratepayers. And the other thing is, it's supporting business. The business people that struggle a little bit, that just need council help, when we're council can. The overall benefits, there just doesn't seem to be a downside to this proposal.
No, not at all. I think we need to be mindful of the fact that local businesses provide local jobs. And if local businesses are making money, if they're booming, they're going ahead, well, they're going to employ people. And mostly it's going to be our people in the City of Stirling. Look, in local government, there are 2 modes of voting. People can actually vote in person, which means they actually physically go to a polling booth on the actual day of the election. Or alternatively, there's what we call postal voting election, which is what the City of Stirling conducts via the Electoral Commission of Western Australia. Now, to cast your vote, it is important that you read the information carefully. Voting packages will actually be delivered to your home, and they'll actually be delivered around about 3 weeks prior to the actual election date. The last day for voting will be the 21st of October 2017. People, in effect, will actually receive postal voting papers 3 weeks before, and there are a number of documents in there. There is the actual ballot paper. On the ballot paper will be the names of the candidates. If you'd like to support me, Adam Spagnolo, please tick the box. You don't need to put any numbers, just tick the box where my name is, and that'll be a vote for myself. In addition to that, once you've done that, you need to fold that. There is a little envelope about this big. You just simply put it inside that envelope, you seal that envelope, you then put the little envelope in the large DL size envelope, Michael, and you seal that. And before you post it, this is something that a lot of people forget. What do you have to do?
You have to sign the back.
Good. I'll tell you, I've trained you well.
You trained me well.
So that's it in a nutshell. So please consider me for your support. I am local. I live in the Osborne ward. Did you know that out of all the declared candidates, and I think there's 2 or 3 others, not one of them actually lives in the area?
That surprised me. I was like, what? Yeah. Sure, you'd want to vote for someone who lives in the area because if you live there, you're experiencing what's going on there on a day-by-day basis.
Yeah. And not one of them has any local government experience as a councillor or as an officer. Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it's quite amazing.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, particularly for a local authority like the City of Stirling, it is the largest municipality in Western Australia. It covers 100 square kilometres. So there's a lot happening, and I think you can't go with the old adage. Once upon a time, when you got on the council, they would say, right, for the first term, which is 4 years, you just keep quiet and listen and learn. On the second term, that's when you start doing something. Now, it just doesn't work like that anymore. As soon as you get in there, people have an expectation for you to get on with the job.
Yeah, and it is a big job. For someone on the outside, and we hear council, we hear local council, but perhaps, and we've got a lot of young voters coming on now, and I'm sure they're going to be very excited about Main Street. The younger voters are going, oh, well, this is what we want.
I love it.
Yeah, they're going to be very excited. But just for a general overview, how does a council operate? You know, when someone goes on, they go, it's like this mystical world that a lot of people don't understand it.
No, look, it can be complex, but it is pretty straightforward, really. Look, when I say it's pretty straightforward, I think you need to look at a council like a company.
Right.
A company has a board of directors, in this case, the council. A company has a managing director, in this case, it would be the mayor.
Right.
And the mayor and the councillors, their role is, if you like, to make policy, to get advice from the professional officers, like the chief executive officer, like the chief planner, the chief engineer, the chief health person. These are all people that are expert in their field. And obviously they have budgets. We have a finance person or people as well. And it's their role to present reports and recommendations to the council. Now the position is that the council can either proceed with the recommendation of the officers, or it may say, no, look, officers, we just don't quite agree with this. Is there any reason why we can't do it this way? And then they debate it. And it may very well be that the recommendation of the officers is not proceeded with, and indeed they actually proceed with the recommendation that is actually made up by the council.
Right. When you look at that, I mean, I've looked at local, and I've seen some of the adverts coming up, you know, for what local councils do. The list of the job and the response, it seems to be growing every year, Adam.
Look, when I first got on council, I remember the ranger coming around to my home, and he said, right, congratulations, councillor. He said, your first meeting's on Tuesday. And he gave me this big wad of paperwork, and I thought, well, I've got to read this over the next 2 days. He said, yep, you sure do.
Right.
And you do, you know, it made interesting reading. And, you know, when I got to the meeting, obviously I was informed about what the whole meeting was about, and I had my say on a couple of issues which were of concern to me.
Yes, yeah, it is a valuable thing that happens. I think a lot of us, we just take our councils for granted, but some of the things you're responsible for, apart from the infrastructure, apart from getting the rubbish removed and those basics that we see, it's also the council's role driving strategy to improve values and community in your areas as well, isn't it? And I guess that's why you talk about Main Street a lot, because you're going, this could be a real centrepiece here.
Yes. Look, Main Street is really the heart of the city of Stirling. I mean, it's Osborne Park. It's one of the oldest suburbs.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I forget the number of thousand vehicles that actually go along Main Street. But look, it's one of the oldest suburbs. It's an area that's highly respected, and I think we should actually treat it with the respect it deserves.
I do too. So coming election time, make sure you cast a vote for Adam, and he wants to get involved in all the exciting stuff going on, but certainly not frightened to tackle the tough issues. And you've been there, done it before, and well, the only one who's going for the position that actually lives in the area.
Yep.
Goodness me. Thank you so much for your time, Adam. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Michael.